sick of mass murder? Stop thinking about it. The Jews have got the solution. Binge watch a box set, go to the ball game, forget about mass execution. Don't think about famine, there's nothing to see here. It's time that y'all went back home. Forget all about it, do some yoga and stretches, order pizza, watch porn, and stay stoned. Does the genocide move you? Are you feeling upset now? The Jews have got the prescription. Take some time on your own now with Pornhub or Grindr. Keep it simple. Take out a subscription. Don't think of dead babies. Soon it will be over. Don't dwell on it. Let's just move on. Forget all about it. Watch reruns of Seinfeld. Order pizza, watch porn, and stay stoned. Do you practice mindfulness? Are you checking your breathing? Are you feeling anti-Semitic? Read the diary of Anne Frank. Watch a film about Auschwitz. Soon you'll feel so much more sympathetic. You call it a genocide. The Jews must defend themselves. The Jews have to plan for the future. The deal is that Gaza gets drones, bombs, and famine. You get porn on your phone and computer. You get porn on your phone and computer. Are you shocked at the violence, that unspeakable evil? Are you traumatized, lost, feeling queasy? The Jews have the answer, psychotherapy sessions. Don't be hard on yourself, take it easy. Are you feeling for Gaza? Are you worried about it? Are you anxious when you're on your own? Forget all about it. Join the gay pride parade now. Order pizza, watch porn, and stay stoned. Practice mindfulness. Are you checking your breathing? Are you feeling anti-Semitic? Read the diary of Anne Frank. Watch that Rod Steiger movie. Soon you'll feel so much more sympathetic. You call it a genocide. The Jews must defend themselves. The Jews have to plan for the future. The deal is that Gaza gets drones, bombs, and famine. You get porn on your phone and computer. You get porn on your phone and computer. Order pizza. You get porn on your phone and stay stoned. Order pizza. I get porn on my phone and computer. Order pizza. I get porn on my phone and computer. So watch porn and stay stoned. Order pizza, watch porn and stay stoned. Watch porn and stay stoned. All right, with thanks to Sean McNaughton and the robots at London's Duck Street Studios again. I'm playing through his video discography on YouTube. Encourage you to check him out at Duck Street. I don't know. Anyway, it's on YouTube. You just search it and you'll find it. So good Sunday morning to all of you. My name is Michael, and I'm broadcasting from my garage located in St. Michael's Parish in the Pine Tree State's most powerful and divided city, Augusta, the political center of Maine. Every day I begin by imploring the assistance of God's Archangel of War, St. Michael. Please pray with me if you can. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. St. Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle, be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and the other evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So I am broadcasting this morning live on YouTube, on X, and at the best, most reliable location, michaelheath.tv. And I want to shout out Michael G. Hine, my former employee, for promoting my show and encouraging my humility. He is apparently watching either all or most of them and reposting on his account on X, which he calls something about the suspension of truth slinger Tim Bodnar's X account that has 32,000 followers. Hine's account has a couple thousand, I think. And he's so proud of spinning up Steve Robinson and Matt Gagnon over at the Mainwire that he's identified his personal X account with having accomplished this feat of, and now he's including me as a target. So he takes this this image, this live stream, and he clips it into shorts, and then he I guess makes fun of me. I guess I don't know. The last one he put up brought a chuckle, uh, and so keep it up, Mike. I know you're watching. It's cool. I love it. Keep promoting it and pushing it out there. You're probably doing more than anybody else at this point to help me, which is kind of the same way things were when I first met you and brought you on my staff, and you brought your marketing and branding prowess to the Christian Civic League of Maine and helped me to grow an email list. So keep it up. I love it. And if you have to throw in hate and insults, it's awesome. It's awesome. All things work together for good. And I need all the help I can get to be reminded of what a insignificant person I am. I really do appreciate you doing that. And I noticed that you had this similar effect. You've had a similar effect on Tim. Maybe we'll end up talking about that in the morning when he comes on the show. Maybe we'll explore a little bit of that. The psychology of the last year for he and his wife, Jen, related to your work. I guess you could call it work, but hate-filled work, I guess. But anyway, God's on the throne. Hein isn't. I'm not. Donald Trump isn't. And someone I appreciate who is in his late 70s and has been thinking deeply and writing extensively about things theological from a Roman Catholic perspective, without apology, is Dr. E. Michael Jones. He's a scholar. I consider him to be a literary genius, an American literary genius. And let me get this set up. I want to just play the last minute or two of his weekly podcast that he produces on Friday afternoons at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Couldn't recommend it highly enough to you. The whole archive is there on Rumble, going back a long time. And if you don't have the money to buy his books, which are expensive, or the time to focus on 1,000-page or 2,000-page argument regarding a particular discrete issue, you will find his podcast archive helpful, and his the generous amount of time he gives an hour to practically anybody, any podcaster that reach out. He even gave an hour to me. Any podcaster that reaches out to him, he'll give him an hour, and he's just very open to questions, debate, etc. He's not very patient with stupidity, but he is patient, very patient with sound reasoning, argument, debate, really from any from originating from any religion or philosophy or whatever. He's all about that. He's all about being bone-chillingly honest about his opinion, if he has one, on a particular author, a particular political ideology, a particular religion. And I know that if you watch him, you'll appreciate that about him, even if you end up disagreeing with him. So I watched his podcast Friday, like I always do. And in his final word, he said this.
Press.org. Subscribe to the Telegram, the Cozy, the Gab, the BitChute. Keep those numbers flowing. And Rumble, like the video, it really does help us out a lot. Dr. Jones, final words.
Yes. Yes. Happy New Year. But more importantly, we are now approaching the Feast of the Epiphany. The wise men came from the East. The West has failed. The wise men came from the East. What we need is wise men who are not going to go along with this corrupt regime. What did the wise men do? They recognized that there was a logos in the sky, the star. They followed the star. And they followed the logos in the sky, and it took them to the logos incarnate, who was lying in a stable in Bethlehem. That's the formula. We need people like that who are going to follow the logos without fear, who have the courage to act on their convictions. When you know it's true, you have to act on it. And they were able to do that. They acted on it. They understood what was going on. They acted on it, and it took them to the Logos incarnate. And that's what we have to do. We have to have the courage to act and follow that star wherever it leads us. So happy Epiphany.
Awesome. See you guys next week. God bless you guys. Keep those numbers flowing and
I gotta
rumble
play that
like the
again.
video. It really does help us out
It
a lot.
is so
Dr. Jones,
powerful.
final words.
Yes. Yes. Happy New Year. But more importantly, we are now approaching the feast of the Epiphany. The wise men came from the east. The West has failed. The wise men came from the east. What we need is wise men who are not going to go along with this corrupt regime.
Wow, that is a mic drop moment to me, especially today because of what the regime, the Western regime, led by the increasingly authoritarian and dictator acting Donald Trump, just did to a sovereign nation, Venezuela. Dr. Jones says the West has failed. We need wise men from the East. And then he concludes with the need for courage, the need for those wise men to have the courage to follow the logos in the sky to the logos in the manger. And I'm personally going to do that with my youngest son this morning at 7 a.m. I'm going to attend the Holy Mass and repent of my sins and ask God to give me the courage this year to be a wise man, to bring wisdom to my work on the internet and to all of my relationships and into every one of my words, and written and spoken, bring wisdom. And when I saw that yesterday, when I watched that yesterday, it struck me as so powerful because of his linkage of the star, very familiar story within religion, because of the star that the wise man saw in the sky, these astrologers, and they understood because of their study of the skies, these wise men from the East, they understood the significance of this star, and they saw the reason in it. They saw logos in the star, and they didn't know where it was leading them to or what it was leading them to necessarily, but they knew it was leading them to something that had to do with logos, with reason. And to quote the gospel writer John, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and that Word, the logos, was a man, a baby in a manger, Jesus Christ, who the astrologers from the East instantly understood when they saw him and Mary and Joseph in that stable. They knew they were in the presence of God, and they had brought gifts. What a great story And it's a story that can be applied to your life. There's a star in your life too. There's a logos in the skies, in the material world that's yours, that's uniquely yours, and it's guiding you somewhere. Follow it. Have the courage to follow it, and you won't be disappointed, no matter what happens, no matter how much you suffer, no matter what happens to you as a result of you living out the gospel, putting Jesus Christ, the crucified God, Lord, Son of God, of the created universe, no matter what happens to you, especially if you suffer, for being wise and for practicing courage, you're not only going to survive the suffering, you're going to celebrate it. It's going to lead you to your knees, and it's going to give you a power from heaven that you never imagined you could wield. I like to think I've kind of seen that, and maybe we'll talk about this tomorrow morning, Tim Bodnar and I like to think that I've seen that in Tim's being kicked around by Michael Hines' hatred, because what I've seen in Tim in his response on X is honesty. He's taken responsibility for even the most, what I would consider to be, Tim calls me a Boy Scout, what I would consider to be like the most craziest, over the top sin, especially when he tells the story. He's told the story publicly about how he and Jennifer met, basically he can correct me if I'm wrong tomorrow morning, but basically in a sadomasochistic bar, a hangout, a place where people who want to have violent and rowdy and outlandish sex with one another. I suppose in groups, like there had to be groups because the two of them would do it to other people. So Hein exposed this year, and in such a way that even if Tim had wanted to pass on from it, he wouldn't have been able to, because Hein wouldn't have let him. He had a picture, and he's very proud of the pictures that are embarrassing now because they're from 21 years ago, of Jen and of Tim, cross-dressing, that kind of thing. And so Tim, when he did, I don't think he tried. I don't think he lied. I don't think he tried to make up a story to explain the pictures. I think he just, I know, I watched it. He just said what it was, and he gave the context in a very emotional live stream. So I like to think that Hein is proving to be a kind of star in the sky for Tim and Jen Bodnar, for Truthslinger X. What would most people have said at the time who weren't astrologers, right? When they said, see that star, that bright star up there? We're going to follow that star because it's leading. It's reasonable for it. Well, it's a miracle for it to be there, but they, from the standpoint of reason, understood it to be a miracle, concluded that it was a miracle from the heavens, from God, the ruler of the heavens. And they, regardless of what anybody thinks about it or how they're going to judge them for their journey from the east, these three, or for whatever it was, number of wise men, they didn't care. They knew it was a miracle. That star was a miracle. And so they followed it. And I see evidence of Tim and Jen choosing to do that this year. They didn't cancel their account. They didn't run and hide from all these egregious things, dredging up the estranged daughter and throwing it not just in Tim's face, but spinning it with the Gardner School Board in such a way that he spun up a harassment action against him based on emails. I mean, sophisticated use of these horrors, these very emotionally difficult things. An estranged daughter, and then injecting it into a front page, highly passionate and emotional political dispute over Maine children and how we as adults, how we as citizens of Maine, how we as a government of Maine are going to interact with our impressionable youngest citizens, children, when it comes to gender and sex. And Tim coming in with his polemic, his style to confront that evil, and then having that all be spun behind this hateful man against you, and end up in court and all this stuff. It's almost like there's a sense in which it could be argued that Hein is like a kind of miracle, because Tim dedicated himself, when he created the Truth Slinger Project, to slinging truth primarily about himself. And little did he know when he saw that logos in the sky, because he says today that he felt that that Truth Slinger Project on X was a call from heaven, a call from God, like a star to a wise man saying, go in this direction and seek out this. I think, forgive me for not having every word of the story memorized, but there's a star, go in that direction and seek out, I think, a child. Not sure if they knew where the child would be or what the situation would be, but regardless, the miracle in the sky. So the star for him, I think, was what I call public media, which is anti-social media. And the reason it's called social media is because evil forces want to know everything about you. So they can create a psychological profile, so they can sell you stuff, and so they can control your own individual Overton window. So, but Tim saw something else in X. He didn't see a threat. He saw an opportunity. And I think that opportunity was like that star for the wise men. And so, yeah, tomorrow morning will be interesting. We'll talk. I don't know if we'll get on this topic, but it's always fun with Tim because he doesn't shirk from a conversation that's public. And another reason I've enjoyed getting to know him this year. So wanted to show you that the end of that podcast. Would encourage you to go and watch the whole thing if you get a chance. It's on Rumble. If you just go to Rumble and search on E. Michael Jones, then you'll find it right away, and you can check out his channel. And I'm just distracted here finding my my Primal page. Give me a second. Okay, we're here. I'm making it bigger. So yeah, primal .net. I know I'm repeating myself, but I think it bears repeating, because this holds the promise of being a more effective and real public media for you than any of the centralized platform so-called social medias, or what I call anti-social medias, like LinkedIn, TikTok, which was just bought by Larry Ellison. I don't know if he's sympathetic to the Jews or if he is Jewish. I guess there's some Jewish connection within his family. But anyway, he's the head of Oracle, and he just purchased TikTok. These are all centralized, controlled surveillance platforms that are not there to help you. They are there to control you. So Nostr, which is the protocol layer of this client that you're seeing on your screen right now, called primal.net. This is a client built on top of the protocol layer called Nostr, notes and other stuff through relays. I highly strongly encourage you to, it's free, strongly encourage you to go and check it out and create your own account and start understanding the difference between Nostr as a protocol layer for public media, for your own public media, compared to what you've been propagandized to think of as safe social media. It's not safe. It's not safe at all. It's in fact the opposite of safe. It's pure evil. Facebook, LinkedIn, X, all of them, because it's all about lying to you when it comes to those privacy and safety buttons you push and settings that you set. None of that makes anything truly private. It just gives signals, data points to the platform operator and owner so that they can control you. They can sell stuff to you, or the government can present you with data, news, information that confirms biases within you, that keeps you from peering behind the curtain to think about what is happening in reality beyond your what you're consuming on the screen. It's very nefarious. It's the most evil program, campaign, war campaign that's ever been envisioned or invented or waged on humanity since the beginning of time. So this is my primal feed. Let me make this a little bigger on my profile. And I use it to sort of organize my thoughts that I want to talk about or present to you on my live stream in the morning, which I do at 6 a.m. every day of the week, 6 a.m. Monday through Sunday. And really appreciate you if you take time to watch it live or on archive. If you're on X or YouTube, you can comment and I can see your comment, and I may choose to put it up on the screen so you can ask questions or make comments. So this first post, which I posted this morning, was I haven't had time to watch it. This is 3 hours long, but this is a podcaster who is thinking critically about TPUSA, and I can't really talk about the details, but I can react by saying that I'm thankful to my wife for bringing it to my attention. She did take the time to watch about an hour of it, I think, and was open-minded enough to take on board ideas about her ideas about TPUSA, which is very much a play on sympathies that could exist for my wife. She's an evangelical Protestant. She's very much from, as am I, that TPUSA ideology. So for her to send this to me, I trust it. I trust it because she's being forced to think critically about something that has been part of her Overton window since she was born. She's, as I say, a conservative evangelical Protestant Christian. So, and this is the movement within MAGA that is being most powerfully manipulated by the Jews at the moment. Not every single Jew, but by the Jews in America for political reasons. It's been weaponized. This movement has been weaponized through men like Michael Brown, who is one of the most passionate and irrational defenders among this group of the Jews of Zionism, but of the Jews. He's on the payroll for Israel. Just wrote a book. He's defending and elaborating on their use of the phrase anti-Semitism to silence their critics. So anyway, this is, if you want to take some time to go to, if you're in that group and you want to take some time to think critically, this is a good place. This post would be a good place to start. So I want to read this entire one. It's a little bit lengthy, but the points that are made here about Venezuela are really important. And then I want to offer some thoughts on the conclusion here. This was published by a channel on Primal called Bitcoin News.com. Not real familiar with the publication Bitcoin News, but this, anyway, I read it this morning and I appreciated its narrative, its argument. So I want to share it with you this morning and think about it as we begin our Sunday. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Don Roe Doctrine. So I assume that is a reference to Donald Trump and a play on the Monroe Doctrine that was created by President Monroe way back in the early 19th century. And basically states that the United States of America has the right to be the hegemon, the sort of dictator, the ultimate authority in the Western Hemisphere. So over all of North America and South America and Central America. We are the final arbiter of everything. We're the authority. We are the supreme ruler of this hemisphere. That's the Monroe Doctrine. Not that's in my words. Under the cover of night, U.S. Delta Force entered Venezuela, raided President Nicolas Maduro's safe house, and extracted both the leader and his wife. They are already in U.S. custody. They've landed in New York, and they are preparing to face trial. That was quick. We're talking about a flawless execution. The CIA had an inside man and Maduro's movements down to a T. Delta Force had even been training on an exact replica of that safe house for weeks to ensure the operation was perfect. The message: the U.S. has officially signaled that it views the entirety of the Americas as its own, and it is willing to strike unilaterally to maintain that dominance. The United States doesn't need a declaration of war or multinational authorization when it comes to Latin America. This is the backyard, and the rules are whatever Washington says they are. Central and South America had already been undergoing a sharp rightward shift and realignment toward the United States over the past few years. Now, countries like Brazil, Cuba, and Colombia are being forced to reprice political and security risk overnight. The why? Look at the timing. Just hours before his capture, Maduro was photographed meeting with high-ranking Chinese diplomats who were caught completely off guard by the raid. Why did this visit particularly piss off the White House? Since 2018, Venezuela has been selling oil directly to China, bypassing the dollar and building payment channels outside of SWIFT. Venezuela sits on 303 billion barrels of proven oil reserves worth roughly $17 trillion. That is the largest reserve on earth, surpassing even Saudi Arabia. It's 20% of the world's oil, and Maduro was actively using it to fund the dismantling of the petrodollar by accepting payment in yuan. The strategy: losing the petrodollar is an existential threat to the United States and the functioning of its economy. By cutting off Venezuela's ability to sell crude and currencies outside the dollar, the entire calculus changes. Russian billionaire Oleg Deripaska has already warned that by securing Venezuela on top of the recent move into Guyana, Washington could soon oversee more than half of the world's oil reserves. This gives the U.S. the power to pin oil at $50 a barrel and effectively bankrupts adversaries like Russia that rely on high energy prices to survive. The new reality is the Monroe Doctrine on steroids. International law be damned, the U.S. is using kinetic force to enforce a geographic ring fence. If the world is fragmenting into rival blocs, the Western Hemisphere is being claimed by the bald eagle. The dragon bear alliance of Russia and China is being cut out of Latin American resources in real time. While the jury is still out on theories of a pre-brokered deal, with some suggesting the U.S. traded Venezuela for a walk away in Ukraine and Taiwan, that would make sense to me. What is undeniable is that this move places America's vassals on a much shorter leash. The European enclosure. With the Nord Stream pipeline gone, Europe became dependent on U.S. LNG, but the U.S. couldn't be self-sufficient and fully supply the EU at the same time until now. By seizing the world's largest oil reserves, the U.S. has completed the three-pillar enclosure of Europe: military through NATO, trade through new EU-U.S. mandates, and now energy through Caracas. This amounts to full control of Europe by its actual sovereign, as European leaders issue statements expressing discomfort with how international law was bypassed while welcoming Maduro's removal and promising only to, quote, monitor the situation, close quote. So he concludes with this, the Bitcoin angle. So where does Bitcoin fit? The price barely moved on the news, but Bitcoin proved a point on the 17th anniversary of its launch. When kinetic action heats up, the sovereign property argument grows stronger. If a sitting head of state can be removed from his home overnight, what is truly safe? Gold in a vault can be seized and reserves can be frozen with a single phone call. But Bitcoin is different. It is uncensorable and non-sovereign. In a world where the U.S. is redrawing the map with Delta Force, Bitcoin remains the only asset that lives outside the logic of violence. I'm going to read that last statement again. Bitcoin remains the only asset that lives outside the logic of violence. So I'm still doing my diligence on Bitcoin. I started in the spring when I read Neil Flesher's book, The Modern Chains is the title of it. Neil Flesher, retired Apache attack helicopter squadron commander, graduate of West Point with a seminary degree in philosophy. He wrote and published the book in the last year or so. He's then published a second book over the summer, which is based on The Wizard of Oz. And he's finished up the first draft on a new book, and he expects to co-author that next year, publish that next year. So that was it was reading his book, which made an argument from philosophy with a tiny bit of theology thrown in. He makes an argument about economics from the viewpoint of philosophy. And he concludes his book by writing deeply about Bitcoin. And so that triggered my interest. I haven't come to any real firm conclusions. I've been thinking about it, reading about it, listening to podcasts about it for over half a year now. And the way that I learn stuff is I do it. So another reason I like Tim Bodnar, because I feel like that's what he did with X and with anti-social media. He jumped into the deep end with his own identity and was forced by that logos, by that star in the sky, that logos in the world, to do business with the person in the manger who grew up to become an adult, God himself, and at 33 was murdered by the Jews. And so Tim ended up doing business with that. And I feel like I'm doing a similar thing in my research about Bitcoin, and in my thinking about it, and in my thinking about it by doing it. So I've got wallets, and I've got a bunch of stuff. There's one potentially very exciting project that I'm working on related to this that includes what's baked into the programming is potentially very, very exciting. But the jury for me is still out, so I'm not prepared to talk about it. But this idea that Bitcoin is, how did he put it? I want to look at that again. So I'm going to put that up here. He put it, oh, what do I need to do? I got to go over here. He put it right there. Where did it go? Okay. Open it up again. That last, that conclusion that he offered. In a world where the U.S. is redrawing the map with Delta Force, then that's obvious that that's what the plan is here. I don't think that Donald Trump is. I don't think he has the resource. I don't think America has the resources to go beyond toppling a weak dictator. And Maduro is or was a very weak dictator politically. So they're going to use these risk-free military ops, kinetic force that are risk-free, to continue to do what we've done since World War II, which is to topple regimes, topple the top, take out the top, assassinate the person at the top. Very Jewish thing to do, rather than work through diplomacy to achieve corporate aims, American corporate aims related to natural resources in a country. We're just going to use our military to continue to chop off the head of the snake, so to speak. Bitcoin remains the only asset that lives outside the logic of violence. That's what I wanted to tease out a little bit as we move toward our concluding prayer, so that I can make it to the Holy Mass on time. The logic of violence. That's obviously become the currency of the West in the past 100 years, is the logic of violence. I don't think that point can be argued. That's how we Americans maintain our comforts, our creature comforts, our what we're used to, our lifestyle, is we project power using our military, which is basically the only thing left of our manufacturing sector, is the production, the manufacturing of weapons. And if that were to be even slightly weakened, then your pension would go to zero. You'd lose everything, because we're so financialized now as a nation that, and that financialization is totally dependent on the military-industrial complex, that your well-being, your ability to buy food or to survive, could go away if that military spending goes away, if we're not making those weapons. And so we have built a empire, a hegemon, that is totally reliant on the logic of violence. And it's the dollar serving as the reserve currency of the world, based on the deal that we made with Saudi Arabia decades ago, that has maintained this logic of violence up to this point. But Saudi Arabia is Saudi Arabia. It's a separate place, and it has its own sovereign will. And I reading between the lines here, I kind of feel like America is looking at that arrangement and getting nervous about it. And so this gives America the opportunity to own 50% of the oil reserves ourselves. We don't have to cut Saudi Arabia into the deal. We can just be the owner of the oil, and we can set the price, and we can then, using the logic of economic violence, we can maintain our lifestyles. All of us can maintain our lifestyles using the logic of both kinetic and economic violence. And so the conclusion of this article by this Bitcoin magazine is that the Bitcoin as currency in place of the dollar, not Bitcoin as a speculative asset, but Bitcoin as currency, is serving and will serve as the peaceful alternative in currency to the dollar, which sustains itself using the logic of violence. All right, my son has arrived. So we're going to pray in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. In the meantime, check out Primal